move to our first symposium of the summit with the theme Achieving Tobacco-Free Generation, a Global and a National Perspective. Tobacco-free generation is simple. No one born in or after a certain date can ever be sold tobacco products, including cigarettes. The tobacco-free generation proposal advocates legislation precluding the sale and supply of tobacco to individuals born after a certain year. For this session, I would like to invite our moderator, Dr. Rakesh Gupta, President and Director of CIPHER, to please moderate the session and introduce the chair for the session and further proceedings. I welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Garima. So it is my proud privilege to introduce the chair, Dr. Meera Aghi. She's a behavioral scientist and a communication expert working in tobacco control internationally. She did her PhD in psychology in 1969 from Loyola University, Chicago, USA. And she's affiliated to the Halis Saxaria Institute of Public Health, and she's chair of Union Scientific Section Tobacco Control. She has served other international organizations also like International Development Research Center Canada, CARE International, WHO, and UNDP. She is the recipient of the WHO Gold Medal on Tobacco Control 1989, a tribute for outstanding service to women, International Network of Women Against Tobacco, INWAT 2009, and the Luther Terry Award for Tobacco Control 2012 in Singapore. And she is actually a mentor to all of us. Yeah, next. Yeah, Dr. Meera, please introduce.
Yes, thank you very much. I think I will follow my guru, Dr. Gupta. There is no need, since the introductions are already there. I would just request you to present your presentation that you have prepared, because I know that nobody is paying attention to the buzzer, and I think I would request you to pay attention to the buzzer. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope I'm audible. Can somebody confirm?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you're audible. Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to briefly tell about the tobacco-free generation, which we are proposing in the state of Karnataka. The first slide, I think all of us are aware. This is only to refresh our memory regarding the status of the Karnataka state as far as the GATT survey is concerned, which has given us a very positive result showing the reduction in almost all the 4 parameters listed here. There has been a significant reduction. So this is one of the encouraging signs for us. So, and this is the current scenario. We have roughly about 4% of the youths who are our targets. We are trying to target them and trying to wean them away from tobacco addiction. They are between the ages of 15 and 17. Though we know that the age of initiation of tobacco use is around 19.8, but we do find people at a much younger age getting into the habit of consuming tobacco. And we also have about roughly 24% of the adults who are exposed to the second-hand smoke. This is the current scenario in the state. And we go to the next slide. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Please change the slide.
Yeah. So this briefly explains the concept of tobacco-free generation, wherein we are trying basically to create a state policy to prevent anybody who is born after the year 2008. They will be reaching a particular age by 2025. The plan now is to work out and create a policy and bring in a policy wherein we deny access and availability and consumption of tobacco products to those group of population born during or after the year 2008. So we have started some groundwork regarding this tobacco-free generation issue in the state. We are in consultation with the National Law School, University of India, to tell us how best it is or what are the legal hindrances we can expect in the market when we go about announcing this policy. So the basic groundwork is already being done, and we are very shortly expecting the report from the legal experts, mainly represented by the National Law School, University of India. Based on the report, we are planning to have a stakeholder meeting, engage all the stakeholders, and submit a draft copy of the tobacco-free generation. And that basically will set the things in motion. This was actually overdue, and we have been doing a lot of work, and we expect to finish this in the next year. By this end of this coming financial year, we will do. So this is the way we are planning to go about it. The mapping of the existing policies related to minors, I think IPH is helping us to some extent, as well as the National Law School, University of India. So we basically map and then we identify the possible legal hurdles, again through National Law School. We are planning to have a state level consultation with all the tobacco control experts. As you know, Karnataka has many players like IPH, and Dr. Vishal Rao can help us definitely. Top it up with the support from the union. I think we have a good cocktail of support here in Karnataka. We also have the coalition for tobacco-free Karnataka in the state, which is quite active, and we are seeking their support also. We are revisiting the mapping report and the policy note, develop a roadmap for the tobacco-free generation, submit the policy note to the government, and hopefully make the political class to think over this policy. And then we are very hopeful of getting a positive response from the policy makers. And this should help us in declaring the tobacco-free generation in the state. Can we have the next slide? Yeah. So the basic things in tobacco-free generation, we are trying to raise the bar from 18 to 21. We have seen certain states who have amended the CODPA Act as per their state-specific needs. So we are now emboldened by this. So we are going to have some sort of changes in the clauses favoring the tobacco-free generation policy under CODPA, in particular to the state, relating to the state. Mapping and one-to-one meeting with key departments and stakeholders. We have the Karnataka State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. We have a Committee on Women and Child Protection who have all been proactive, and we are trying to enlist the support of all the other stakeholders also, including the other government departments. Promote tobacco-free office, tobacco-free village concepts, and provide tobacco-free educational institutions under NTCP. Develop IEC material on tobacco-free generation. Whatever may be the relevant IEC, we are also in touch with the IEC wing to help us. Rose campaign has been going on a big scale in the state, and we have got approvals from NHM this year also to conduct Rose campaign in a much bigger way. So this is a sort of BCC, which we expect us to help in framing the policy. Thank you. Thanks everybody. Thank you for inviting me, first of all, to be the resource person. And I also thank all the participants.
I think this presentation is very, very useful. Very concrete steps have been presented, how to go about it, and it's very, very promising. And I think that, if we follow all these, and as he says that in 3 months, we are going to have something really very substantial in front of us. Thank you so much.
I would like to invite our chair, Ms. Vineet Gill Munish. She's working as a National Professional Officer in WHO Country Office for India with formal training in management, marketing, and communication. She has worked in the corporate sector in diverse marketing roles. She has extensive experience of over 18 years in public health managing in tobacco-free initiatives in WHO India. She's further expanding the knowledge gained in tobacco control by addressing through NCT risk factors. Ms. Vineet is also the technical focal point for resource mobilization and partnership for country office, and is working toward building the sustainable collaboration to leverage resources for country priorities and achievement of SDGs. I would like Dr. Rakesh to welcome Ms. Vineet, and then we can proceed with the next speaker.
Yeah, Vinitji, you're welcome, and thankful that you joined us, and you're still in Singapore. Because of the lockdown, you have not been able to come back, and you're welcome. And you are requested to please introduce our next speaker, Dr. Amit Yadav.
This
Amit
is
Yadav.
showing Upinder. We have Upinder
Okay.
here actually.
Okay, Upinder. Okay. You may introduce
Yes,
Upinder.
thank you, Dr. Gupta. It's really an honor to be part of this conference, and a bigger honor to be a co-chair with Meera ji, who was one of the first people I met when I joined WHO India. It's truly an honor to chair with her. I'm also very pleased to introduce Upinder, who I have seen grow in tobacco control over the last few years into a very fine professional. And I was associated closely with her mother, and I know that she has a lot of her mother in her and keeps the fire of tobacco control going. Upinder is the Director Programs, Generation Saviors Association, and she's also the elected Municipal Council founder, Girls Rise for Mohali. The floor is yours, Upinder.
Thank you so much. And yes, it is a huge privilege to be in a session which is being chaired by two people who are very close to the organization and my mother when we started GSA. So thank you so much. And I thank Dr. Gupta and Dr. Sonu for the setup. So we'll be talking about tobacco-free generation. And in my presentation, I would like to focus on the steps that have been taken by our organization in partnership with the union to actually come up and onto the thought process of tobacco-free generation. So the elements of tobacco-free generation, the three broader elements of tobacco-free generation that I would like to focus here on my presentation would be prevention, protection, and cessation. Under the prevention, as it was also said in the opening remarks, that the whole definition of tobacco-free generation is to create an environment where the young people choose not to smoke, chew, or consume tobacco in any form, and also to decide on to a cutoff date beyond which the sale of tobacco to those people who are born after a certain year is not exposed to any form of tobacco. Then comes on to the protection, wherein protecting people from secondhand smoke and hazards of chewing tobacco in public places. As in today's scenario, earlier the entire focus was on passive smoking, but with the present situation of COVID going on, we see that what menace does the smokeless tobacco also have on the non-users. And third and most important, when we talk about tobacco-free generation, is cessation, is to help people who are already addicted to tobacco use to quit. Can we go on to the next slide? So the first step that was taken, there have been a lot of talks about tobacco-free generation in the past also, but after the GATS2 study came out and we have seen a good amount of reduction in tobacco use in the country, I think it gets really important to restart our talks about tobacco-free generation, because this is the right platform and the right time to talk about it. So the first national consultation with the partnership of the union was conducted in 2019, July 2019. These are the few glimpses of that. So can we go on to the next one? And then a second round of consultation happened just recently last week on May 22nd, wherein the participants kind of discussed upon why tobacco-free generation has become an important element in fighting public health emergencies, like an emergency that we are facing currently. Next, please. So the recommendations that came out of these consultations, and which we think that, all of us working in tobacco control collectively can kind of strengthen more on to move towards a tobacco-free generation. The proposed cutoff date that was proposed in the consultation was 2006, which means aiming at a tobacco-free generation by 2024. because everybody who's born after 2006 will be 18 years by then, and as per the policy of tobacco free generation and COTPA, they should not be allowed buying of any tobacco products. So one recommendation that came out of these consultations was actually to establish independent working groups at the state and the national levels to formulate a tobacco free generation policy document, so that every initiative that is being taken at the state levels, at the national levels, are in sync with each other, so that once we have the policy and we are working extensively on it, so we have a uniformity of actions happening in the state and at the national level. A third important point was integration of existing laws. So rather than coming up with an exclusively new law, and we have seen in the presentation by Karnataka also how important it is to actually map what existing laws we have that support the tobacco-free generation, and how we can integrate those laws into reaching out to our aim of tobacco-free generation. And then the first step of it, and a very important aspect of the consultation that came up, was to raising the age of purchase of tobacco products to 21 years. There have been studies which shows that, once if the age is raised to 21 years, how many people can we save from tobacco addiction and, a health risk of tobacco, because post this age, there are less chances of youth getting initiated to tobacco use. And the next point, we've seen in the previous presentations also, that how important now it has become to strictly enforce the TAPS ban and the surrogate advertisements. Though the governments have done a very good job on the existing platforms wherein all these TAPS violations were happening, but with a lot of social media and other online mediums coming up and gaining importance, it becomes very important to even include those into our TAPS ban. Then the mandatory license to sell to regulate the supply of tobacco products in the market, and focused tobacco cessation, that is licensed smoker, the people who are already addicted to smoking, should be licensed, so that there is no new smoker coming into the place, so that it becomes easier for us to reach to the tobacco free generation policy. And the another very important element that came out of the consultation was that every policy intervention should be broadly based on the gender based and socioeconomic factors too. It should not be a blanket policy, but every element of the society out there should be considered while coming out with a policy document. And very important, national policy on FCTC Article 5.3. I think it is the high time that we really need to push for a national level policy on Article 5.3. Next, please. So this actually, this slide was taken from Dr. Rana Jaisingh's presentation in the consultation that happened last week, that how public health emergencies and how tobacco use is related to each other. So I think this chart clearly establishes that linkage of tobacco and the public health outbreaks. Can we go to the next slide? Next slide, please. So COVID-19 and tobacco control interventions that has already taken place in India. So we have ICMR appealing to refrain from consuming smokeless products and spitting in public places, which gives us a very nice evidence of, when we talk about smokeless tobaccos and the nuisance and the menace and the risk that the non-users have of the smokeless tobacco also now. So I think these are good interventions which can be built upon when we talk about tobacco-free generation and, fighting a big problem that our country has of smokeless tobacco. Next. So way forward, so this would be my last slide. So way forward, establishing working groups at national and state levels to formulate a tobacco-free generation policy. I think that is very important when we all start collaborating onto that. And focusing on a bottom-up approach, I think Karnataka is doing an amazing job into coming up with a state roadmap to create how they are going to reach to the tobacco-free generation. And I think other states can also start mapping their existing laws that support the tobacco-free generation. Mapping of existing laws that can support a tobacco-free generation at state levels. And the immediate focus for every state should be raising of age to 21 years and tobacco vendor licensing. And we have seen that states are in a position to amend COTPA. And I think raising to the age of 21 years should be the first step and the most important step presently when we want to take our first leap forward for a tobacco-free generation. Next, please. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Upinder. That was a wonderful presentation. The theme of World No Tobacco Day this year also gels very well with the name of your organization. And I think India as a country, we need to start thinking of this. We know several other countries have done this. There's New Zealand, Tasmania, Finland, Singapore, who have set out such goals. And I hope we will do that soon. Meera ji, can I leave here? I have an urgent meeting I need to get to. And I would just like to thank everyone and exit, please. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and it's so wonderful to see you.
Same here, ma'am.
Great. Well, before I introduce Amit, I want to say something about the first two presentations. I think they are excellent, and together they are very potent. I think they should be combined into one conceptually and then proceeded. And I think it has got a lot of potential in it, and we will be able to make a dent. And I think that the Amit's gel into these two presentations is really going to help us how it can be legally also supported, and how legal refuge we can take very successfully. And I think everybody knows Amit, right? Or are there any people who don't know Amit? Then I can introduce him. He's known for a long time. He has worked with so many organizations, both international and national. The most important are Hriday. I think the work with the youth started at Hriday. He has been at PHFI, and he has worked in Australia. And now he is, I think you all know, he's at the University of California working with Stan Glantz. He's about to come back to India, and we would welcome you here because we need your support to get this going. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope you are able to hear me. It's a great pleasure to be on the same platform and to be introduced by you. It's a pleasure to for a son to be introduced by her mother, his mother, on for a talk. It's a great pleasure that not difficult to express. I'm going to talk about tobacco-free generation, and I'm going to give some in terms of my thought on what are the legal perspectives and challenges. And when we talk about legal stuff, and I think it's already being said, and many of us already know, now there are two aspects. One is what is the current scenario and how we want to go beyond what is happening. So within the current scenario, how to protect the minors. Now, if we are enforcing, let us take any jurisdiction, if we are enforcing Section 5, which completely prohibits any kind of direct or indirect advertisement, no promotion, no display on films, TV, live streams, and every other things, no point of sale advertisements, everything is prohibited. Now, imagine that as enforced. I think you would see that exposure of tobacco to minors, at least who are below 18 years, should be absent in the country. Next, please. And Section 6 says you cannot sell. So as of date, we are already tobacco-free generation for 18 years and below. But which is not true when we look at the data from the GATS, because there are several states which have access age as young as 15, and data, as Dr. Monica was talking, suggests that even people, a student in class 6 or 5-6, which is like less than 10 years of age, are also accessing. So if you are enforcing 6A and 6B, then I think you are again making some population group of population tobacco free. Less than 18 means you are almost catering to about 30 to 40% of population of the country. Next, please. Now, Juvenile Justice Act is a very strong act. If any of the states, one is if you fail to implement this law, you are failing to do your duty. But if you are implementing this, then this is not about sale. This is about access. This is anyone who gives or causes to be given. right? So if not even a father can ask the child to get him tobacco. So this is very important, and this needs to be implemented. This prevents us from access to person below the age of 18 years. This is very strong legal position in India. Next, please. Then again, food safety law says you cannot mix food, you cannot mix nicotine and tobacco in food, and any item which is described as food, so you cannot mix it. Now, any food flavoring, any no scent, any no fragrance like scented supari, slaked lime, all these products, they are food products, and you cannot mix tobacco with them. So I think most of the smokeless tobacco, which is sold in flavored form, is prohibited in India. And I think, again, this is enforcement issue, and at the state level, state governments and enforcers should enforce this strongly. Next, please. And so now what happened in this, especially in smokeless tobacco, is the surrogate products and their advertisement. I think this is one thing that government should take up with the food safety regulatory authorities and suggest that they should prohibit advertisement of these kind of product which are surrogate product like the supari and pan masala, and prohibit their advertisements on any in terms of direct or indirect advertisement of such product, because they become the gateway to these other products. Next, please. Now, tobacco-free generation, and I think we already know, and as Upender was also suggesting, so, and this was an idea initially mooted in Singapore, and they are following this in some bit. The idea is that anyone who is born at a certain date, let's say for 18 years or 21 years, I would suggest 21 years now, and I think keeping 2000 as the base date, date of birth, and then whoever is born after, in terms of whoever is of that age, then he doesn't get tobacco product. And this need to be in terms of create awareness and say that 21 years is the age. And this is where I think state governments can play a role. They can lead, they can be models to start doing this. Next, please. Now, and that's what I'm trying to suggest, that a bottoms up approach might work. So state, district, municipal corporation or panchayat, they should take a decision of prohibiting the sale of tobacco products, and this can be taken. Why this can be taken? Because it's a constitutional obligation of the state. When we say state in legal language, legal terms, we mean any of these bodies, government bodies, including district, municipal, panchayat, or any other bodies which are created by the government. They all are a state, and they have the duty to do what? Ensure that there is prohibition of consumption except for medicinal purposes of intoxicating drink and drugs. This is what I think is an important message that the states should understand and they should take. Next, please. Now, what is another important thing? I think this is at the national level, that Article 47 of the Constitution, which actually have this thing, can be amended, and you should put in terms of their tobacco, so that it gives the state governments in terms of a special power, so that they could completely eliminate or take strong decisions whereby they can prohibit sale, marketing, and other stuff, in terms of distribution, supply of tobacco products in their jurisdiction. Next, please. Now, what are the challenges? Now, the biggest challenge that one would face is the tobacco industry opposition. They have their financial and survival dependent on this. Second is we need political will, and I think it is easier to get the political will at the grassroots and at the state level. That is where it can be done. And tobacco as an industry is under a concurrent list. States can put amendment in CODPA, as Upinder also suggested. To support that, local research and data to support that policy is important. The one challenge that I think which can go to the court is the fundamental right of an adult to make his own choices. So anyone who is after 18 years and in terms of when he is not getting, and you would still have someone who is getting, so someone who is 30 years and someone who is 21 years, so there would be an inequality. So 31 years is able to purchase tobacco, but someone who is 21 years or who is born after, he is not able to purchase. Now that kind, I think, need to be supported with strong research data, that this is intelligible difference in that kind of a policy to support that. I think that's the one challenge at a rights in terms of rights approach level. Lack of cessation and psychological support, I think that is very important. The health department will have to ensure that there is cessation support for people who are getting out of it, who wants to go in terms of away from it. And also in terms of keep ourselves prepared to respond to right to livelihood and right of retailers, beeri rollers, tobacco brought up time and again. Yeah, I think that's all I think I find as a legal challenge, and I'm happy to then take questions if there are any.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Markandan, Dr. Amit Yadav, and Upinder for their wonderful presentations. Now I'll request Meera ji as a chair to please comment upon the presentations and then conclude the session. Thank you.
Yes, I think that, actually these three pieces put together, as I said before, are very potent. And if we can do that, we can build a wonderful resistance to all kinds of viruses. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Meera
we
ji,
can
please
hear you.
continue. Please continue. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All kind of viruses and everything. And I think this would be a very strong resistance if we can encourage our young people not to fall prey to being replacement smokers. As Vidya's work right from day one has been talking about this, and I think that we have got such good evidence in the country. I mean, I know Dr. Rana says that, we still need to do a lot of work, to really encourage the young people. I think that it is very, very important to pay attention to what he was saying. And I think it is the line of work that we should do it starting today only, that we have to make sure that we empower our young people so that they can speak up and they can really present the case that they, that there cannot be any tobacco used by the young people. I think the A21 is very, very important. In fact, Tasmania, who was the initiator of this concept of tobacco-free generation, they have now dropped what they were saying before, not to sell tobacco to young people. They said that it is too controversial. There are too many people against it and all that. In their country, they had lot of resistance to that. But now they have come to the point that, that the tobacco can be sold only to at the age of 21. And I think we have got really very good suggestions from this all the three presentations. And Upinder, of course, right from day one, she has been working very hard on this concept. I think this is her favorite concept. She inherited it from her mother. And I think that we should really work on all these three presentations that we have gotten. And if we can make a mapping now based on all these things, I think we would be really lucky, and because we will be able to do something. Now, I just one point, Sonu made a remark in the beginning that all our efforts are to save our grandsons, our sons and grandsons. I would request him to add daughters and granddaughters also. We always forget that it is so very important to involve women, to involve girls, because without that, we are neglecting 50% of our generation, of our population, if not more or less or something. But I think that we got to remember all the time that, that our population is composed of two sexes, not just one. Decision makers are men and the implementers are men. We have to stop this, and only then we would be able to make a dent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Meera ji, for the